In today's video, I want to look at a different approach to open chords, because usually once students learn the basic open chords, they just move on to bar chords and stop learning open chords altogether. But there are some really beautiful sounds that you can find by simply moving the open chord shapes up and down the neck while keeping those open strings ringing instead of barring them. And the best thing about these chords is that unlike bar chords, they're no harder to play than the traditional open chords that you already know, but they can sound incredible. So let's get into our first shape. So the first chord shape that we're going to look at is A sus2. All we're going to do here is take that shape and move it up every fret and try to find some sounds that are actually nice. So. So doing that, the ones that I find are the nicest are the ones that don't have 3 semitones in a row. So what I mean by that is if I play this chord on the 3rd fret here, then we have an A in the bass, we have a B flat, and we have a B. So those ones tend to be the most unusable. So let's listen to that sound. So you can make an argument for why any of these chords are fine, but I'm going to rule it out and say that that one's not very nice. But if we move it up 1 fret, we get this. And that one's actually pretty cool, so let's just do a little bookmark for that one. So the 4th fret sounds pretty good. And then we go up 1 fret and we've got the 5th fret here. I like that, so let's keep that one. This one is probably the most commonly used one, I reckon. So I'm going to keep that one as an option. And then let's try the 7th fret. Sounds good to me. Alright, so this one has A, B flat, E flat, B, and E. So again, we've got that A, B flat, B sound happening again. So I don't like that one. Next one sounds good. And then we have, that's an interesting one. I like it. And then we have the 11th fret. Good. And the 12th fret. I like that too. And then the 13th fret. Okay, let's have a look at how we can name these. So all of these chords are going to have an A and an E, which is kind of like a power chord. So we've got the tonic and the 5th, we've got the major 6th, and we've got the major 2nd. It's kind of like a A sus2 with a 6. Let's look at some of the highlights in this. So the 5th fret one is just an A minor 9 chord. So that's very useful as a minor chord voicing. And then if we move it up a fret, we've actually got A major 9. The 7th fret one is like a suspended sort of sound. So this can be really nice moving into that A major 9 or even the minor 9. Let's listen to that. So that's pretty cool. And then minor. So you could come up with a little thing like this. It's just really nice having those open strings ringing out. So another nice A major type voicing here is on the 11th fret, we've got A, C sharp, F sharp, B, and E. If we combine it with a normal A major chord and go from there to there, it's like, you can hear how those work together. So if we played like A major and then we played that one on the 11th fret and then went to the A major 9 voicing here, that could be a nice little thing. So having that A bass note throughout all of those chords allows you to create some movement as well. You don't have to just pick one of the voicings. Another thing that we can do with this is, in this particular example, we've just got A as the bass note all the time. Every chord is just going to be A, and so you can't move them unless you put a capo on. So what we can do is just, like, let's say we moved this A sus2 voicing up. It's like doing a bar chord, except we're not barring all of those open strings. This one's nasty, by the way. Kind of cool, but also pretty dark. So if we move that up 1 fret, it's a pretty nice voicing. We've got 3 Bs in this chord. Having 2 notes that are exactly the same ringing is actually really nice. So then let's move this one through. That sounds good to me. I like that one too. Maybe we can't go wrong with this one. That's an interesting one. All right, next one we have the 7th fret. That's just a bunch of E's and B's. And then this type of F chord here. That's really nice, I like that. That's cool too. That works. So again, we've got something that is very similar to the other chord, except now we have movable bass notes. So I'm going to come up with a little thing that uses both chord shapes that we've come up with so far. So the next chord we're going to look at comes from the E group of chords. So if we take an E chord like this, we're just going to literally take that shape and just move it up the neck. I'm going to think of my first finger as the fret we're talking about. So we've got 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th is still good. That's 6th. 8th, 9th, and then 11th. So here's something cool we could do with this. We'll go 1st fret, 3rd fret, 11th fret, and then 9th. All right, here's my little composition with this. So just like with the A chord, we have the issue of all of the chords are going to be with the E in the bass. To move this one to different keys, we take that E chord shape and then we just move it up by 1 fret. And we have the open B and E strings here. All right, let's see what happens with this one. All of those are good so far. Not so sure about that, the 4th fret one. 5th fret's good. Nope. 7th fret is good. 8th fret's good. Don't like that one. Also, just because I don't like just because I don't like them, you might love them, so feel free to use those chords if you like. Don't like the 11th fret. 10th is good. And then 12th fret is just the same as open, so it's E. So this is kind of cool. We've got these two very Spanishy sounding ones. There's the E bass note with this shape here. And we have that as well with the F in the bass. See, some of them sound really good if you start at something that's kind of unresolved and dissonant, and then you move into something that's resolved. So the classic example with the one that's got the E in the bass, if we go from this one, just resolving into an E chord, let's try and make something with all four different voicings that we've used. So those are really just a few examples of what you can do. You can take any open chord and move it up the fretboard. Just remember about the bass notes, that if you use open strings as your bass notes, it's trickier to move to different keys, but you can still find some amazing sounds. So if you want to check out some more chord videos, click this link below and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.